Geraldine Farrar was an American soprano, opera singer and film actress, noted for her beauty, acting ability, and the intimate timbre of her voice. She had a large following among young women, who were nicknamed Jerry Flappers. Biography. Farrar was born in Melrose, Massachusetts, the daughter of baseball player Sidney Farrar, and his wife, Henrietta Barnes. At 5 she began studying music in Boston and by 14 was giving recitals. Later she studied voice with the American soprano Emma Thursby in New York, in Paris, and finally with the Italian baritone Francesco Graziani in Berlin. Farrar created a sensation at the Berlin Hofoper with her debut as Marguerite in Charles Gounod's Faust in 1901 and remained with the company for 3 years, during which time she continued her studies with famed German soprano Lily Lehmann. She appeared in the title roles of Ambroise Thomas Mignon and Jules Massenet's Manon, as well as Juliet in Gounod's Romeo et Juliet. Her admirers in Berlin included Crown Prince Wilhelm of Germany, with whom she is believed to have had a relationship beginning in 1903. After 3 years with the Monte Carlo Opera, she made her debut at the New York Metropolitan Opera in Romeo et Juliet on November 26, 1906. She appeared in the first Met performance of Giacomo Puccini's Madama Butterfly in 1907 and remained a member of the company until her retirement in 1922, singing 29 roles there in 672 performances. She developed a great popular following, especially among New York's young female operagoers, who were known as Jerry Flappers. Farrar created the title roles in Pietro Mascagni's Amica, Puccini's Suor Angelica, Umberto Giordano's Madame Sans Jean, as well as the Goose Girl in Engelbert Humperdinck's Königskinder, for which Farrar trained her own flock of geese. According to a New York Tribune review of the first performance, at the close of the opera, Miss Farrar caused much amusement by appearing before the curtain with a live goose under her arm. She recorded extensively for the Victor Talking Machine Company and was often featured prominently in that firm's advertisements. She was one of the first performers to make a radio broadcast in a 1907 publicity event, singing over Leda Forrest's experimental radio transmitter in New York City. She also appeared in silent movies, which were filmed between opera seasons. Farrar starred in more than a dozen films from 1915 to 1920, including Cecil B. DeMille's 1915 adaptation of Georges Bizet's opera Carmen, for which she was extensively praised. The resolution of Geraldine Farrar, the beautiful and gifted star, to employ her talents in the attaining of success in the films is one of the greatest steps in advancing the dignity of the motion pictures. Miss Farrar's Carmen in the films is the greatest triumph the motion picture has yet achieved over the speaking stage, claimed the San Francisco Call-and-Post. For her performance, she came in 4th place in the 1916 Screen Masterpiece contest held by Motion Picture Magazine, ahead of any other actress. Theda Bara's performance of the same role received 9,150 votes. One of her other notable screen roles was as Joan of Arc in the 1917 film Joan the Woman. According to her biographer, unlike most of the famous bel canto singers of the past who sacrificed dramatic action to tonal perfection, she was more interested in the emotional than in the purely lyrical aspects of her roles. According to Miss Farrar, until prime Duncan combined the arts of Sarah Bernhardt and Nellie Melba, dramatic ability is more essential than perfect singing in opera. Elizabeth Nash in 1960. Farrar was awarded 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in the music and film categories. However, the Los Angeles Times, which has documented and photographed every star as part of its ongoing Hollywood Star Walk project, was unable to locate the star honoring her film career. Personal life. Farrar had a 7-year love affair with the Italian conductor Arturo Toscanini. Her ultimatum, that he leave his wife and children and marry her, resulted in Toscanini's abrupt resignation as principal conductor of the Metropolitan Opera in 1915. Farrar was close friends with the star tenor Enrico Caruso, and there has been speculation that they two had a love affair, but no conclusive evidence of this has surfaced. It is said that Caruso coined her motto, Farrar Farrar. Her marriage to cinema actor Lou Telegon on February 8, 1916 was the source of considerable scandal. The marriage ended, as a result of her husband's numerous affairs, in a very public divorce in 1923. The circumstances of the divorce were brought again to public recollection by Telegon's bizarre 1934 suicide in Hollywood. Farrar reportedly said, "Why should that interest me?" when told of Telegon's death. Farrar retired from opera in 1922 at the age of 40. Her final performance was as Leoncavallo's Zaza. By this stage, her voice was in premature decline due to overwork. According to the American music critic Henry Pleasants, the author of The Great Singers from the Dawn of Opera to Our Own Time, she gave between 25 and 35 performances each season at the Met alone. They included 95 appearances as Madama Butterfly and 58 as Carmen in 16 seasons. The title role in Puccini's Tosca, which she had added to her repertoire in 1909, was another one of her favorite Met parts. Farrar quickly transitioned into concert recitals, and was signed to an appearance at Hershey Park on Memorial Day 1922. She continued to give recitals until 1931 and was briefly the intermission commentator for radio broadcasts from the Metropolitan Opera during the 1934-35 season. Her autobiography, Such Sweet Compulsion, published in 1938, was written in alternating chapters purporting to be her own words and those of her mother, with Mrs. Farrar rather floridly recounting her daughter's many accomplishments. Farrar died in Ridgefield, Connecticut of a heart attack in 1967, aged 85, and was buried in Kensico Cemetery in Valhalla, New York. She had no children. Filmography: Carmen, Temptation, Maria Rosa, Joan the Woman God Forgot, The Devil's Stone, The Turn of Wheel, The Bonds That Tie, The Hellcat, Shadows, The Stronger Vow, The World and Its Woman, Flame of the Desert, The Woman and the Puppet, The Riddle, Woman, Media, Fiction. The American author Barbara Paul has written several murder mystery novels based on Geraldine Farrar, Enrico Caruso, and the Metropolitan Opera. Ring Lardner has one of his characters attend a performance of Carmen starring Farrar in the short story, Carmen. He remarks it stars Genevieve Farrar, that was in the movies a while till they found out she could sing. On the way home, his party discuss it. Well, when we got on the car for home there wasn't only one vacant seat and, oh, course, Hatch had to have that. So I and my Mrs. and Mrs. Hatch clubbed together on the straps and I got an earful. Oh, the real dope. What do you think of Farr's costumes, says Mrs. Hatch. Heavenly, says my Mrs. Especially the one in the second act. It was all colors, oh, the rainbow. Hatch is right in style then, I says. And her actin' is perfect, says Mrs. Hatch. Her voice too, says the wife. I liked her actin' better, says Mrs. H. I thought her voice yodeled in the upstairs registers. What do you suppose killed her? I says. She was stabbed by her lover, says the Mrs. You wasn't looking, I says. He never touched her. It was probably Tobacco Heart. He stabs her in the book, says Mrs. Hatch. It never went through the binding, I says. Gallery. Geraldine Farrar as Marguerite in Faust. Geraldine Farrar in an evening gown. Farrar on the set of Carmen. Geraldine Farrar and Enrico Caruso in Julian. Farrar in costume as Nedda in Pagliacci. Geraldine Farrar in performance. Geraldine Farrar wearing a fur hat for a portrait. Farrar in public. Farrar with Pedro de Cordoba in Carmen. Portrait printed in Motion Picture Magazine, June 1920. Farrar as Joan of Arc for Joan the Woman.